Hare Krishna. This morning we will discuss Canto 2, Chapter 5, the Course of All Courses, Text 15. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chiva nartanam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jamudirayat nasvesya bhadrasu nityam bharata sevya bharvatu tamastuke bhakti bhavtinaistiki Narayana paraveda deva narayanan kacha Narayana paraloka Narayana Paramakam. But for a translation, Narayana, the Supreme Lord, Para is the course and is meant for Veda, knowledge, Deva, the demigods, Narayana, the Supreme Lord, Angaja, assisting hands, Narayana, the personality of Godhead, Para, for the sake, Loka, the planets, Narayana, the Supreme Lord, Para, just to please him, Maka, all sacrifices. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Vedic literature are made by and meant for the Supreme Lord. The demigods are also meant for serving the Lord as parts of his body. The different planets are also meant for the sake of the Lord, and different sacrifices are performed just to please him. Purport. According to the Vedanta Sutras, Sastra Journeyed Path, the Supreme Lord is the author of all revealed scriptures, and all revealed scriptures are for knowing the Supreme Lord. Veda means knowledge that leads to the Lord. The Vedas are made just to revive the forgotten consciousness of the conditioned souls, and any literature not meant for reviving God consciousness is rejected at once by the Narayana Para devotees. Such deluding books of knowledge, not having Narayana as their aim, are not at all knowledge, but are the playgrounds for crows who are interested in the rejected refuse of the world. And a book of knowledge, science, or art must lead to the knowledge of Narayan, otherwise it must be rejected. That is the way of advancement of knowledge. The supreme worshipable deity is Narayan. The demigods are recommended secondarily for worship in relation to Narayan, because the demigods are assisting hands in the management of the universal affairs. As the offers of a kingdom are respected due to their relation to the king, the demigods are worshipped due to their relationship to the Lord. Without the Lord's relation, worship of the demigods is unauthorized, avidipurvakam, just as it is improper to water the leaves and branches of a tree without watering its root. Therefore, the demigods are also dependent on Narayan. The lokas or different planets are attractive because they have different varieties of life and bliss, partially representing the Satchitananda Vihara, Brahma Samhita 5.1. Everyone wants an eternal life of bliss and knowledge. In the material world, such an eternal life of bliss and knowledge is progressively realized in the upper planets. But after reaching there, one is inclined to achieve further progress along the path back to Godhead. Duration of life, even a proportionate quantity of bliss and knowledge, may be increased from one planet to another. One can increase the duration of life to thousands and thousands of years in different planets, but nowhere is there eternal life. But one who can reach the higher planet, that of Brahma, can aspire to reach the planets in the spiritual sky, where life is eternal. Therefore, the progressive journey from one planet to another culminates in reaching the supreme planet of the Lord, Madhama, where life is eternal and full of bliss and knowledge. All different kinds of sacrifice are performed just to satisfy Lord Narayan with a view to reaching him. And the best sacrifice recommended in this age is Sankirtan Jahya, the mainstay of devotional service of a Narayana Para devotee. Read the verse again. Narayana Paradveda Devi Narayana Nangaja Narayana Paraloka Narayana Paramakaham. The Vedic literature are made by and are meant for the Supreme Lord. The demigods are also meant for serving the Lord as parts of his body. The different planets are also meant for the sake of the Lord, and different sacrifices are performed just to please him. Om Ajnanatimandasya Chinam Shanakam Saksharan Militam Yena Tasmai Shigove Namah Chitchetayamanovistam Staptam Yena Bhutani Svamrupakadamyam Dadati Sva Padantikam Vandeham Shiyuda Patakam Shugam Vaishnavam Sham Shirupam Jagajatam Sakanaragnatam Tam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savritam Parjana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Sham He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jatpate Gopesha Gopka Kantarada Kantanamastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavana Sutta Vipanamama Hare Priye Shankha Kaltra Vishake Pasina Vivsha Patnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Pradaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale, Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namni. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharini, Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskatyai Desatane. Srila Prabhupada Ki. In the beginning of the Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami gives a summary of the entire Bhagavatam in the second chapter of the first canto. Important verses there because they have such gives concentrated knowledge of the Bhagavatam. And there's one verse in this second chapter which is practically identical. That verse says, here it's Narayana Paradeva, that first starts Vasudeva Parayana. And then the last verse is Narayana Parasmaka, and the verse is Vasudeva Paramaka. So that's interesting that I will read that verse it gives the same message. If we go to the Srimad Bhagavatam first canto, second chapter, text 28-29. Yeah. Yeah. Vasudev Pradeva Vasudeva Pramaka Vasudev Prayoga Vasudev Prayakriyaha Vasudev Param Jnanam Vasudev Param Tapa Vasudev Parodharmo Vasudeva Paragati. In the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The purpose of performing sacrifice is to please Him. The yoga is for realizing Him. All fruitive activities are ultimately rewarded by Him only. His supreme knowledge and all superior austerities are performed to know Him. Religion is rendering the loving devotional service unto Him. He is the supreme goal of life. So in the verse of today, it's a little difference. There it says that the Vedic literature are meant for the Supreme Lord. But that we find also here. In the revealed scriptures, the object of knowledge is Sri Krishna. It's the same. Then the demigods are also meant for serving the lotus parts of his body. And the different planets are also meant for the sake of the Lord. And different sacrifices are performed to please him. That we have also here, that the purpose of performing sacrifice is to please him. It says also, I think in previous verses, in 1 to 13, it says, Atabam birt vyasya stravarna shama vibharasa svanastita dharmasya samslir haritoshanam. It says, yes, it is concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging duties prescribed for one's own occupation, so that is in the varnashram, according to caste divisions and orders of life, is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Again, that same point, that it is, well, that it's to please Narayana or Vasudev, that the same point is made, and it is stressed that I think it was in the, because this is performance, I think it's probably in the previous verse, that no, it's okay. But it say you perform your duties in Varnashram, and they are meant for Haritoshnam. So pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if one does one Varnashram's duty not to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then the only result, it is said in the scriptures, is the labor of doing it. That's the only result. That therefore it is so important that because understanding the goal of our existence is to please the Supreme Personality of God, because we are His energies. Everything that exists is turning around this principle. It is also clearly advised by Lord Krishna. Yat karosi yat tasnasi yat yosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat krosvarma darpanam. Whatever you eat, whatever you do, whatever you give away, whatever you offer, whatever austerity you do it as an offering to Krishna, to please the Supreme Lord. always that same point that so when one becomes a devotee, one is not interested in anything which is unrelated with Krishna. That not unless one can relate it to Krishna or use it for Krishna. That we are not interested anymore in any Monday books. That it's like this is the difference between the swan and the cow. That the cow goes to dirty places, eat rotten things, but it's good. It could also go to nice places, but it has no taste for it. You want to go. The cow want to go to dirty places. That so that's the people of today are like that. Yeah. Formerly, I heard Prabhupada write that. He said, "This is written." He wrote that in the 60s. That 50 years ago, in all villages in India, in the evening, they were all reading the Lord's pastimes in the evening, and they derived great bliss from it. But today they are following the West. They want, they created in India cities like the West. That but they have to take the pollution with it. That in the West, everywhere pollution, and also divorce and so on. That's all introduced to that no peace of mind anymore. That so that's because one accepts the life of a cow. Why I humans compared to a cow, sometimes it is compared to an ass that there is that verse 1087, I think. Yasyat Mabuti Punape Tridate Svadikalatadi Sebama Ichadi Latirta Bole Salene Nakarichichani Savishyesu Saivakokara. One who identifies himself as the inner body composed of mucus, bile, and air, who assumes his wife and family are permanently his own, and who thinks an earthen image or land of his birth is worshipable, and so forth. That one who never visits those who are wise in truth, such a person is no better than a cow or an ass. That and so you see in modern society that people want to become rich, nicely dressed, that and living in nice houses, but they are crows. Crows, they identify with the body. They are not more than animals. They also identify with the body. That the swans, they want to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They live in places of goodness. They have a spiritual sadhana. The swans, the hamsas. That so a different lifestyle. So this is very important. If we don't use things or whatever we get in the service of Krishna, it will create karma, reactions, so many things. So let's see what's in the purport. According to the Vedanta Sutras, the Supreme Lord is the author of all revealed scriptures, and all revealed scriptures are for knowing the Supreme Lord. That's the purpose of all the scriptures, to know the Supreme Lord. That's the base of our ignorance. We have forgotten the Supreme Lord. And therefore, Krishna says, Vedasa sarvam Veda Vedya Vedanta. Yeah, that's Vedasa sarvam Eva Vedya. I have to be known by all the Vedas. Vedantakit Vedavid Eva Chaham. I'm the compiler of the Vedas, Krishna says. As Vyasadeva, I'm the compiler. I'm the knower of the Vedas. Because it's said in Bhagavad Gita, Janma Kama Samedimam Yemo Veti Tatvara Chaktvam Punachama Anyatyamam Etisarna. Krishna says, if you know me and my pastimes, you don't take birth again in this world. But knowing Krishna is not such a simple thing. That Krishna reveals himself to his devotees. Then you get to know him. Then we understand that Krishna is all good. And everything what happens in our life is Krishna's mercy. What's suffering is Krishna correcting us, purifying us, helping to go back to Godhead. That a devotee realizes that. So the Vedas are made just to revive the forgotten consciousness of the conditioned soul, and any literature not meant for reviving God consciousness is rejected as once by the Narayana devotees. The Narayana devotees, they are very careful with their consciousness. The devotee knows, according to my consciousness, I create my own happiness and distress. And I create my future destination by consciousness. You have all these planets. Patal, Sutal, Rasatal, Palatal, they are the lower planetary systems. If your consciousness becomes like an animal, you go there. If your consciousness is in piety and enjoyment, you go to Indalok. If your consciousness is in goodness, and you perform tapasya, cultivation of knowledge, you go to Janaloka, Tapaloka, Maraloka, Brahmaloka. If your consciousness is purified and becomes transcendental, and you want to serve the Supreme Lord in opulence, in that if you have that pure Krishna consciousness, you go to Vaikuntha. If your consciousness has become purified, and you are attracted to serving the Lord as a parent, as a friend, as a lover, very intense love. If you have developed that consciousness, you go to Golok Vrindavan. According to our consciousness, we have destinations. But our consciousness is influenced by our association. So devotees very care with what to associate with. Okay, you may study sometimes mundane subject matters, but with the purpose to use it in Krishna's service. Otherwise, it's not interested, not for sense gratification. Devotee will never do that. Of course, you have this verse in the, I think it's in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna speaks about this supreme abode that yeah, yeah, it's 8:21. You can see here, the Bhagavad Gita 8. There, Krishna speaks about the supreme abode. Yeah. That's supreme destination. Having attained it whenever it's returned, that's my supreme abode. That I think Brahma says there's the ways to, the mystic passing away from this world, 2 paths. Anyway, I think it's probably in the 6th chapter where Krishna says that all living entities, they come into being by the creation, and after annihilation they return. Every day they return in the body of Brahma, and then the next day, next creation, they come out again. Yes. So the purport that it speaks about the Narayana para devotees. I think Lord Shiva speaks also about this Narayana para devotees. I think it's in the 5th chapter. Narayana Parayana. Lord Shiva speaks about that. Yeah, 6:17:28. There you find also that word Narayana Para Sarve. Up. Let's see Bhagavatam. Canto 6, 17. Mother Parvati curses Chitraketu. Right after she cursed Chitraketu, she said to Lord Shiva, because after she cursed Chitraketu to become a demon in his next life. So he became down from his Viman. Chitraketu bowed down before Lord Shiva and Parvati at Kailash, and he smiled to Mother Parvati. Yes, he said, I'm accepting your curse. And at that moment, Parvati turns to Lord Shiva and said, I curse him, and he's not even disturbed. And then Lord Shiva tells her, quotes this verse. Yeah, well, he says this verse. Narayana para sarve na kutachana bibhyati svaya pavarkana narakesh apitulyata darshinaha. The devotees solely engaged in devotional service of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead Narayan never fear any condition of life. For them, the heavenly plans, liberation, and the hellish plans are all the same. For such devotees are only interested in the service of the Lord. So they have no time for absorbing their consciousness in the material energy. They just don't have time for it. They are always engaged in blissful devotional service. Therefore, they are not only interested in the service of the Lord. And that's also the essence of this Narayana Parasar verse, which we are discussing, that everything is meant for the interest of the Lord, for the service of the Lord. Yeah. And if one does not follow that principle, then one lives a conditioned life. Because everything is Krishna's energy. Denying that is not very truthful. That means one is in illusion. And then the illusion takes over. So it is said in this verse, this Narayana Para devotees, they do not mind reverses in life in the service of Narayan. They have learned to tolerate whatever hardships there may be. They do not care whether they are in heaven or in hell. They simply engage in the service of the Lord. That is their excellence. Anukulyena Krishnana. They are liberally engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, they are excellent. By using the word Brityanam, Lord Shiva pointed out that although Sitaketa provided one example of tolerance and excellence, all the devotees who have taken shelter of the Lord as eternal servants are glorious. They have no eagerness to be happy by being placed in the heavenly planets, becoming liberated, or becoming one with Brahman, the supreme effulgence, because they follow that principle. Everything is for the pleasure of the Lord. That the same way when Sanatana Goswami, he had skin disease, and when he got the skin disease when he traveled from Vrindavan to Jagannath Puri. And that skin disease means he had a lot of his skin was infected and some fluid came out of it that it was not very nice to see, that all these swears on his body. But then he was thinking, when he arrived in Jagannath Puri, I cannot go to Lord Chaitanya because he will embrace me and then I will commit a great offense, contaminate his body with my infected skin. So he went to Jagannath Puri. He could not go into the temple because he was so-called a fallen Brahmin who engaged in the service of the Muslim leaders. Instead he went to Haridas Thakur, who was living in a tree nearby, under a tree. And so they met each other, but then Lord Chaitanya, every day he would go to the Jagannath Puri temple, take darshan of Lord Jagannath. Then he would bring Mahaprasad to Haridas Thakur. And then when he came, Sanatana Goswami was there. and he embraced Sanatana Goswami with force. Sanatana Goswami said, yes, I committed a great offense. He was thinking in his mind. At the next Yatra, I'm going to throw my body under the Ratayat cart and finish it, to counteract this offense. But Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, it's the super soul in everyone's heart. So he knows this. And then Lord Chaitanya said to Haridas Thakur, you know, Haridas, this Sanatan is a rascal. He surrendered himself to me. He surrendered his body to me for service. And now he wants to kill that body, that he wants to commit suicide, that so he doesn't know that his body belongs to me, not to him. And I've created plans from this body to go to Vrindavan, to expurgate all the holy places where Krishna is his pastimes and so on. So there's always to consider our body is not ours, it's Krishna's body. It's meant for his service also. So that is a very important principle. And a devotee lives according to this principle, explained in this verse of today. Therefore, it is such an important verse that so it says in the purport, such deluding books of knowledge, it speaks about other books on devotion, such mundane books, not having as their aim Narayana as their aim, are not at all knowledge, but are the playgrounds of crows who are interested in rejecting the refuse of the world. There you have this word, crows, that if we are not understand, those who are mundane people who do not understand this principle and act for their own sense gratification are like crows. Rascals who cannot understand their own identity. We cultivate a consciousness like animals. Animal can also not understand who I am, where I come from, where I go. It can just identify with the body. But a human being has higher intelligence and can understand that the self is different from the body. So the same thing with the demigods. The demigods are meant to be servants of the Lord. And they know, but the influence of the material energy is so strong that they forget again and again. Indra forgot again and again. And he started to fight with Krishna again. And commit offense once again. That was the influence of the illusory energy. Mm-hmm. And so it is interesting. Without the Lord's relation, worship of demigods is unauthorized, avidipurvakam. But the gopis worship Katyayani. That why? To get Krishna as their husband. The gopis worship Lord Shiva with the same purpose. Mother Rukmini worship Durga with the same purpose. Always Krishna is the purpose. That asking blessings from the demigod for engagement in devotional service. So that's proper worship of the demigods, because the goal is Krishna. That's the point. So there's improper worship of demigods and proper worship of demigods. But because it said the demigods are also dependent on Narayan. The locusts or different plants are attractive because they have different varieties of life and bliss, partially representing the Satchidananda Vigra. So each planet partially represents the Satchidananda Vigra. But all these varieties of life. But of course, in the higher, if you get a body in goodness, that this Satchitananda portion will be much greater. in the mode of ignorance is nearly completely absent. Yeah. So the duration of life increases from planet to planet. We know on the moon 30 days. Here is 1 day on the moon. That's in the scriptures. But this is only the Indraloka is very close by compared to Brahmaloka. There was one king on the earth, and he went to Brahma to ask. It was 2 minutes from Brahmaloka, and he asked Lord Brahma, "To whom should I give my daughter in marriage?" And Brahma started to laugh. You're already 2 minutes here. All the kings you wanted to marry your daughter to, they are all already gone. All your dynasty has died out. It's all finished in these 2 minutes. But they said, yeah, you can give your daughter in marriage to Lord Balaram. So that's the right. Narayana Parayana. That they are all meant for the pleasure of Krishna or Balaram. They are non-different. That yes. Therefore, the progressive journey from one planet to another culminates in reaching the supreme planet of the Lord Madam, where is eternal and blissful, where life is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. So this is this progressive journey. That is the Pravriti Marg. We are following the Nivriti Marg. Pravriti Marg is you go up to the higher planet, from planet to planet. First, you go to Indraloka, and then from there, Janaloka, Tapaloka. Anyway, suddenly you go up, but mostly it doesn't happen because they arrive at Indraloka and it's too much Sanskata. They can't go higher. No tapasya anymore. And they fall back to the earth. It's just a trap. That's better to take the Nivritti Marg. We perform the process of bhakti under the guidance of a spiritual master and go out here immediately. Take the lift, that not the stairs. Prabhupada, it's a direct process. That the best sacrifice recommended in this age is a Sankirtan Chakya, the mainstay of devotional service of a Narayana devotee of the Lord. So devotees in this lifetime, in this world, in this Kali Yuga, they perform Sankirtan Chakya. Why it's the most potent process of devotional service in this age. It's said in the Bhagavatam 12th canto, Kale dosha nide rajan astyeka mahan guna. So the Kali Yuga is notion of false, but there's one good quality in this age, and that is Kirtana Evas Krishna Sya Mukta Sangha Param Bhajat. Just by chanting the mantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. Therefore, the devotee, Kali Yuga, connects his consciousness constantly with the Supreme Lord by chanting the holy name. That whatever time we have during the day, chant, and stay connected. So, any comments, questions? Yes, Mother Vanuya.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, thank you very, very much. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for this excellent class again. I have two questions, if it would be possible. Yesterday, you said Krishna created the living beings for transcendental loving exchange. And I wonder already for a longer time if it was also planned by Krishna that a part of us would misuse this independence, and that this whole thing with material world and so would be necessary. Is there anything said in the scriptures if this was an experiment, or that Krishna knew already that it would go in the wrong direction, or was it a surprise for Krishna also that we would behave like this?
So we are part and parcel of Krishna. Factually, Krishna did not create us. We are eternal part and parcels.
Yeah, yeah.
But the Veda says yes. The part and parcels are there. They are separate from Krishna. They may have been together, but they're separate from Krishna. This is eternal parts for Krishna's enjoyment. Now, okay, now in this material world, why do they build a jail? Because the government knows, yeah, there will be criminals.
Mm.
So the Krishna gave us free will. We have free will, but some will misuse their free will. They will, because they are free to desire what they want. That's just, yeah, a fact that. So Krishna knew, yes, therefore.
He expected that some of us would would
But, but,
yeah,
but
behave
yeah,
not
but the
properly.
material world has been created by the living entities, by their
Mm,
desires. The
mm,
creation start.
mm,
That we explained yesterday, because without the presence of the living entities in the material world, I mean, the material world cannot function.
yeah.
Like a prison cannot function when there are no prisoners.
Mm.
The same way. And the second question?
Yeah, Maharaj, also if we practice Bhakti Yoga, and also we have the desire and the goal to go back home to Goloka Vrindavan, but we have not these playful mood, ne? Also, so like this is described in the Leelas, also if we are more so these yeah, awe and reverential mood, is this then that we maybe also if it would be possible go back to Vaikunta, and how then to qualify from Vaikunta to Goloka Vrindavan?
How to qualify from Vaikuntha to Goloka
Yeah,
Vrindavan?
so if you are on this planet where Krishna is worshipped in this awe and reverence mood,
Yeah.
and how it is possible to go from there to Goloka Vrindavan?
When Gop Kumar arrived, this is in Brad Bhagavatamrita from Sanatana Goswami, he arrived at Vaikuntha, Gop Kumar, and he saw all these four-armed forms, male forms, and beautiful women worshipping the Supreme Lord with awe and reverence. That all were all beautiful prayers. You are the Supreme Lord, please bless us. That by your grace, the whole creation is going on. So they were praying and offering so many things, very beautiful. That's very blissful also, just to see. But Gop Kumar did not feel at home. But when he saw Lord Narayan, he put his hands in the air and started to chant, Gopal, 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 because
Mm-hmm.
he wanted to Golok to see Krishna. But all the residents of Vaikuntha came around them and put, oh, cool down, we don't worship the Lord like this here. But then in Vaikuntha later he met a few other things happens, but this brings us too long, the story. But he met Narada Muni. And Narada Muni said, yes, you are in Vaikuntha, but you don't feel at home. It's normal because you belong to Golok. Gopa Kumar said, how can I go to Golok, from Vaikuntha to Golok? That was your question, right?
Yes.
He asked that question. And Narada Muni said, to go to Golok, you have first to go back to you cannot go to Vaikuntha to Golok. It's not possible. You have to go back to the earthly Vrindavan and perform bhakti. And then you can go. So Gopa Kumar went back to the earthly Vrindavan where he started. And he continued chanting his Gopal mantra, which he got from his spiritual master. And he was herding the cows in Bhumi Vrindavan, earthly Vrindavan. And one day he saw Krishna in one of the 12 forests. And he was running after Krishna, but Krishna ran away. He was running. Finally, he came at the Yamuna and he fell into the Yamuna. Then a few moments later, he was in a spiritual viman, spiritual spaceship. And the spaceship was going much quicker than the mind, much quicker than the light he traveled in a few moments to the entire world and saw all the planets where he had been before. Indraloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Janaloka, Brahmaloka. He went to the Brahma Jyoti and he saw Vaikuntha again from his spiritual airplane. And it passed through all the planets of Vaikuntha. And then he arrived in Goloka Vrindavan. And he understood, now I'm above the material and the spiritual worlds. And he arrived in Goloka Vrindavan. And he found out, this place is flawless. I feel the devotion in the air. Anyway, the story goes until he meets Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. But that must answer your question, how you go to Goloka. For Vaikuntha is not possible.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. So I look forward to be at your service again next week. Jai Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. His Holiness Bhakti Prabhu Maharaj ki jai. Thank you, Maharaj.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Krishna.